there was another team that got a championship, and that is my Florida Gators, man. They dominated yesterday, and man, woo, I am super excited for this one. The Florida Gators take home the national championship, defeating Houston at a score of 65-63. And man, I was telling G Mike before the show, I'm glad this tournament is done. I don't think my heart could take another 8, 12, 9, 19, whatever the hell comeback they had to do every single game. The only team that did,
maybe the big 40.
Man, like I swear, the only game that they played that I wasn't like super nervous was the first game they played Morehead State, and then moved on there. Since they played UConn on, it was constantly having to come back. Shout out to Walter Clayton Jr., man. He did not have the greatest of first halves. Scored 0 points in the first half. Houston did a hell of a job of taking the ball out of his hands, and I love the defense that Houston played on him because they were taking away his strengths. They were constantly running the pick and roll, and he reminds me a lot. He's been getting the Curry kind of comparison, and I don't think anybody's really saying he's as good a shooter as Curry, but the way he creates his own shot and moves around the floor is very Curry-like. But having said that, he made smart plays, and that's what I liked about Walter Clayton, and I think what's going to translate into the next year in the league, in the NBA. Do you think he's going to be an NBA superstar? Do you think what's your thoughts on Clayton moving on the next step?
I think he's going to be a good role player. I think he could be a good role player. I think the comparison that you said, I'm sorry, the team that you said that he could go to, the Orlando Magic, I think that would be a good fit for him.
I like that fit for him.
They need someone who's going to put up more shots and actually drain them for sure. You know, maybe not in his first 2 years he'll be that type of player that can put up 15 points, but maybe in his third year and after that he could increase for sure. I think
he'll be a first rounder, or do you think?
No, I think he's a second rounder. I think he could be early or middle second round for any team that needs a point guard that can facilitate and actually shoot the three.
I think he'd be a steal in a second.
Yeah, I think if he puts in a lot more work when it comes to getting his body right, because I think he's a little chunky, but he could trim that off easily. And then maybe when it comes to getting his shot a little bit more perfected, even though obviously you can't do that, but to try to get it as excellent as possible, I think he can work on that, and he'll be a good point guard for any team.
Yeah, I think the reason I like the Orlando one is because they don't need someone else that can do defense, and he can play defense if he wants. He's got that dog mentality in him. He was a football player. We were talking about it before we went live. We actually had offers from Notre Dame, UF, Tennessee, and I can't remember another major football program. He was a safety. So the kid can play. He's an athlete no matter what he's going to do. He's going to be a pretty good player out there for that. So the other question I guess I have for you, and we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier, was do you think this was more of Florida just came out and won, or was it that Houston just blew it in the end?
I think Florida came out and won, right? So the first half, the whole storyline was Houston's defense. The way that they were covering Clayton Jr., he wasn't shooting any shots. He didn't even score a point in the first half. The way that they were making UF turn the ball over, before halftime, they probably had 12 turnovers, which is not regularly the case for UF, even though they had another game. They had another game that it was like that, but usually that's not their game. They protect the ball a lot. They know how to move the ball around. They make the right plays, and they make the right shot. They came out the second half, and I think the locker room halftime speech was, yo, y'all need to be tough. Y'all need to be tough. Y'all need to be tough. Because they came out in the second half playing so tough that they got 5 early fouls, right? And just a little side note, if you're a referee and you're reffing the first half like a UFC match,
that was ridiculous.
And dudes out there are going crazy and smacking each other and playing physical. All right, cool. That's cool. Let the game play like that, right?
Right?
And then the second half, you start calling baby fouls and all this stuff. Like, dude, you need to call the whole game exactly the same. Exactly how you started, you need to call the game like that. That's just a side note. Whatever. They got 5 early fouls in the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever the case may be. They get down 12. People start thinking Houston's going to run away with it. But if you really watch Houston's game, they don't have offense like that. The reason why they're so good and got so deep into the tournament, into the national championship game, was because of how they would get the ball turned over and use that to their advantage to get points from defense to offense. So their offense, they really can't create much. So Florida is one of the best second half teams in NCAA history, in my opinion. In my opinion. And
Vegas,
they showed it. They showed it all tournament long. Vegas, they made the call of the road. They showed it all tournament long, and they showed it last night in the national championship game. Down 12 with 15 minutes left to go. They said, yo, it don't matter. The game's not over. So the fat lady sings. And the fat lady wasn't singing. She was there chilling in the sideline watching the game. Because them boys came back. Down 1 minute is when they took the lead. They only had the lead in the whole game for 1 minute and 7 seconds. That is crazy. That is crazy.
This is also why I'm glad the tournament's done. I can't handle that anymore.
And then Clayton Jr. showed that he can be a championship mentality type player, because the whole game he was getting strapped and he wasn't able to do anything of nothing. And then when it came down to the last 4 minutes of the game, they ran some specific plays for him, and he was drilling that. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Shots after shot after shot, going to the free throw line, making free throws, and he led his team to the win.
Yeah, I agree. And we were talking about, I mean, there was definitely more than just Clayton. Will Richard is the reason that they actually were even close in that game. He had half their points going into the half. So I can't just say it's not all about Clayton for sure. Condon, my guy, had some really clutch plays. But what I was talking about earlier, what I like about Clayton's game is that even though he wasn't making shots, he wasn't making bad decisions. He was still assisting. I think he ended up with like 9 or 10 assists or something, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, he's a great facilitator.
Great decisions on Condon, and I love the way that the big men were running. They were running down the floor because they realized the fact of they were faster than Houston was, because if they set them in the paint, Houston's dogs. They're gonna beat them up. The Florida's not built for that. It's more a little bit more finesse, So I love the fact that they were hustling down the court. There was a couple, and then what I also liked was that the frame of mind and Walter Clayton to realize whenever Houston got in foul trouble, same time Florida did. That's whenever he also realized the fact of, okay, now I got.
Now I'm a drive. Now
I can drive.
Now I'm a try to take you right.
Yep.
One thing I wanted to ask you: the last shot right before Florida got the ball and the time ran out. The last shot that I forget the point guard's name, but dude, maybe. But you know what shot I'm talking about? That he was gonna take the shot, and Clayton came up, looked like he was about to block, and he just let it go, and he was like telling his teammate to come grab it. He's like, "Yo, if I touch it, it's gonna be a travel." You know that shot?
Yeah.
In that situation, are you shooting it no matter what, or do you know, yo, I'm gonna get this ball? There's gonna be 3 seconds left, 4 seconds left, 5 seconds left, whatever the case may be. I know Clayton is gonna be on top of me like white on rice. So why not pump fake and then take the shot? But if you're not thinking like that,
you're talking about Emmanuel Sharp from Houston.
Sharp, yes, Sharp.
Yeah, okay, Emmanuel Sharp from Houston. Yeah, because I was like, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so I mean, hindsight's a beautiful thing, man. Like you can looking back on it, But I think if I'm going to give Sharp some credit, at least he was smart enough to know the actual basketball and understand what the hell was going on. It was a fluke thing. He knew that he was going to get blocked if he did the shot. He could have jumped into him, sure.
I don't think it's about being smart, because I'm not saying that he's not intelligent. Because
no, I'm not saying smart. I'm just saying I just thought that was a smart. Like at least he had the wherewithal to, even within what was going on, to know the fact that he's about to make a bad move here, and someone needs to help him out.
And that's where I disagree. I think you need to be aware of your situation. If you know that there's only a few seconds left, yo, I don't care if he blocks it. I'm shooting that shit.
Okay, so you're saying you're taking the shot.
Yes, bro. In that situation, you're only like when he got the ball, it was like 7 seconds left. 7 or 8 seconds.
Yeah.
You drop the ball and you're expecting your teammate to come grab it. Okay, let's say your teammate does grab it. You think your teammate's gonna have enough time to turn around and take a shot? Oh right. Man, like you need to know your situational awareness at that time, and I think that has to do with coaching as well, right? But it also has to do with being a high-level basketball IQ player. In that moment, you need to grab the ball, anticipate the defense is going to be close, pump fake, take the shot. Or if you're not going to pump fake, just take the shot, bro. Take the shot. If it gets blocked, it gets blocked. You're still going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm trying to give the kid a benefit of the doubt because it was a bang bang play kind of thing. But I can see what you're saying in that moment in there. In hindsight, you like you're saying, you take the shot. Maybe the ref doesn't see what you did. Maybe the ref doesn't know. Maybe the ref calls. Maybe you hit the three, and now it's a 4-point play, game over. You know,
you do a small travel, move to the left, and try to shoot it, like whatever, dog. Like I don't know. I just me personally. At that point in the game, I'm gonna know exactly how much time is left and what is going on. That I'm not gonna try to shoot, see I'm about to get blocked, and just let the ball drop and be like, "Yo, come get it." Nah, I'm gonna shoot it. If he blocks it, he blocks it, bro. Whatever, good play.
I'm sure. That was such one of those situations that if you play that 9 times out of 10, I'm sure it doesn't pan out that way for him. Because Sharp is a good player. He was big time in our state in Florida. He was from Tampa. But yeah, I hate the fact of, like we were saying before, like I'm a diehard Florida Gators fan, so I'm happy with the result that we won and everything. But I hate the fact of that thrill of agony. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. That kid is always going to be associated with that. And the last few seconds, anytime you go over this game, you're going to go back in history, and it's always going to be, man, what could you have done better? What didn't you do there? And he's going to have to live with that one. But I think that he'll be able to get over it. He seemed like a good kid, and coaches will help him out and everything. But it sucks when that is how the whole thing ends out. What a comeback for Florida, though, man! I want to say it was the 3rd largest comeback in history of the tournament.
Bro, I would put my life savings on it right now. That after the game, he's like, "Yo, I should have shot it."
Yeah, no, I think without a doubt. I think there's no denying that one. But man, I just gotta say it one more time. It's great to be a Florida Gator, baby. Let's go. The national championships. I don't know if they're gonna be able to repeat. I think they're I like Todd Golden. I think he's a good young coach. It's gonna be tough for them to repeat. So going into next season so far, Houston, ironically, Houston and Duke are the 2 favorites going into next year. We'll see how that plays out. Get a long time and a lot of stuff to figure out before that point. We got obviously another year to go, but it's all said and done, and my Florida Gators are the national championship winners, and that feels damn good to say.